Every one of us, at some point, faces a moment that tests our wisdom. Not just our knowledge, but our wisdom. It's not found in textbooks or lectures. It's built through the choices we make and the lessons we learn from each challenge and triumph. We encounter today, we're diving deep into understanding how sometimes, without even realizing it, we might be embracing habits that limit our personal growth. We'll explore the subtle signs that suggest we might be acting foolishly, not to judge, but to grow. This isn't just another list. It's a mirror, a chance to see clearly the behaviors we need to change to lead richer, more fulfilled lives. And as we delve into these insights, if you find value in what we're exploring together, consider this simple, free favor. Hit the subscribe button, stick with me throughout this whole video. Don't skip any part because each sign we discuss could be the key that unlocks a new door in your journey towards wisdom, drawing from the timeless lessons of Stoic philosophy. Let's reflect, challenge ourselves, and embrace the courage to change. Let's get started. Change is as inevitable as the sunrise. Yet it's one of the hardest things for us to embrace. It disrupts what we know, pushes us out of our comfort zones and challenges our preconceived notions about the way things should be. But here's a twist: resisting change can actually hold us back from experiencing some of life's greatest opportunities and lessons. When we dig in our heels and insist on maintaining the status quo, we might miss out on chances to grow, to innovate, and to improve our lives in meaningful ways. Consider this: life is like a river, constantly flowing and ever-changing. Stoic philosophy teaches us that, just as the river does not resist its course, neither should we resist the natural flow of life's changes. The Stoics believed in embracing whatever life throws at us with a calm acceptance, knowing that while we cannot control everything that happens, we can control how we respond. Resistance to change is akin to trying to dam that river with our bare hands. It's not only futile, it can lead to greater frustration and suffering. Now let's get personal for a moment. Think about a time when you resisted a change because it was uncomfortable or because it challenged a belief you held dear. Maybe it was a move to a new city, a switch in careers, or even adopting a new routine. Initially, these changes might have felt unnecessary or daunting, but reflect on the outcomes. Did your resistance make the process easier or harder? Often we find that once we embrace the change, we open ourselves up to new perspectives and possibilities we learn. We adapt, and sometimes we even flourish in ways we never anticipated. However, it's important to recognize why we resist change. It's not just about a fear of the unknown. It's also about a fear of losing what we have, whether that's comfort, familiarity, or control. This fear can make us rigid, limiting our potential, but Stoicism offers a powerful counterpart. It teaches us that true freedom and strength come from within, from our ability to adapt and accept. Rather than from clinging to external certainties, embracing change doesn't mean being passive or giving up our desires and ambitions. Rather, it means actively engaging with life's changes, making conscious choices about how to respond and finding ways to align these changes with our values and goals. It's about being proactive rather than reactive, making decisions based on wisdom and foresight rather than fear or habit. Let's apply this to a practical scenario, perhaps in your workplace. The introduction of new technologies or processes can be met with resistance, often because they disrupt well-established routines. However, adapting to these changes isn't just about keeping up with industry standards. It's about personal and professional growth. By learning new systems or embracing new strategies, you're not just helping your company evolve, you're also developing skills that enhance your own employability and effectiveness. So the next time you're faced with a change, big or small, take a moment to pause and reflect. Ask yourself, what is this resistance telling me? Is it coming from a place of fear or from a genuine concern? How can I align this change with my personal growth and values? By asking these questions, you are not merely surviving the flow of life's river. You are learning to navigate it, skillfully using change as a tool to carve out a more meaningful path for yourself. It's a human instinct to look outward when things go wrong. Pointing fingers is easier than looking in the mirror. It spares us from the discomfort of admitting our own flaws or mistakes. However, the habit of blaming others is like a leak in the foundation of our personal growth. It may not seem like a big deal at first, but over time it can cause the whole structure to weaken and eventually collapse. Blaming others for our setbacks, failures, or unhappiness is a defense mechanism. It protects our ego from the pain of failure and the fear of inadequacy. But every time we shift responsibility onto someone else, we lose a little bit of our power to shape our destiny. Stoicism teaches us the value of focusing on what we can control and letting go of what we cannot. One thing we always have control over is our response to life's challenges by accepting responsibility for our actions and reactions. We retain our power and agency. Now let's think about what happens when we blame others. It might bring a temporary sense of relief, but it also builds barriers between us and those around us. It can damage relationships, reduce trust, and create a toxic environment, whether at home, at work, or among friends. More importantly, when we blame others, we deny ourselves the opportunity to learn from the experience. Every challenge, every misstep is a chance to learn something valuable, if only we're willing to see it that way. Stoic philosophy isn't about suppressing emotions or ignoring the faults of others. It's about recognizing that the only thing truly within our control is ourselves, our actions, our reactions, our decisions. Marcus Aurelius, a Stoic philosopher and Roman emperor, often wrote about the importance of turning obstacles into opportunities. He believed that the obstacle in the path becomes the path. When we stop blaming others and start examining our own role in our experiences, we turn these obstacles into stepping stones towards personal enlightenment and resilience. Imagine you're working on a project that fails to meet its goals. The easy route: blame the team, the resources, the timing. But what if instead you asked yourself, what could I have done differently? Did I communicate effectively? Was I prepared to lead? This kind of introspection requires courage and humility, but it is the only way to truly grow by taking responsibility. You might discover that improving your communication could increase team alignment, or that additional preparation could enhance your leadership. In future projects, moreover, accepting responsibility enriches our character and deepens our understanding of life. It teaches us compassion and empathy. As we begin to see that just as we are not perfect, neither are others, we all make mistakes, and we all have room to improve, this realization can transform the way we interact with others, leading to more meaningful and supportive relationships. So the next time you find yourself starting to point a finger, take a moment to pause and reflect. Consider what part you played in the situation and what you could do differently next time. Ask yourself what this experience teaches you about yourself, your values, and how you can grow from it. Remember, in Stoicism, the goal is not to be faultless, but to be constantly evolving, learning from every situation and applying those lessons to become a better version of yourself. Ever been in a conversation where it feels like your words just bounce off the other person as they impatiently wait for their turn to speak? It's like they're not really there with you, just passing time until they can take the stage again. This common scenario illustrates a prevalent issue in many interactions: the preference for talking over listening. This isn't just about social etiquette, it's a deeper reflection of how we value or undervalue others' perspectives. True communication is a two-way street involving an exchange where both parties feel heard and valued. When someone consistently talks over others, it not only hinders this exchange, but also blocks the growth and connection that come from genuinely listening. Stoic philosophy, with its emphasis on wisdom and virtue, regards the act of listening as a crucial component of learning and relationship building. For Stoics, like Epictetus, it was clear that we have two ears and one mouth, so that we might listen twice as much as we speak. This wasn't just a call for balance in conversation, but a fundamental principle for understanding the world and our place in it. Listening is far more than a passive activity. It's an active engagement that requires patience, openness, and a genuine curiosity about others' thoughts and feelings. When we truly listen, we give ourselves the opportunity to learn something new about the world or about another person's experiences and viewpoints. This not only enriches our understanding, but also strengthens our relationships. It signals to others that we value them and that their thoughts and feelings matter to us, fostering a deeper mutual respect. However, the inclination to talk over listening often stems from a desire to assert dominance or control in a conversation. This can be especially tempting in situations where we feel insecure or believe we have something to prove. But Stoicism teaches us that true confidence comes from being secure enough in oneself to welcome and even seek out the viewpoints of others. By embracing humility and the acknowledgement that we don't have all the answers, we open ourselves up to a broader spectrum of knowledge and experience. Consider the practical implications of this in a professional setting. A leader who talks over their team may initially seem strong and decisive, but over time this behavior can stifle creativity and initiative within the team. Members may feel undervalued and reluctant to share their insights, leading to a decline in team performance and morale. On the other hand, a leader who listens well is likely to foster an environment where ideas flourish and people feel personally invested in the outcomes of their collective efforts. So how can we practice better listening? It starts with intention before entering a conversation. Remind yourself of the value of what the other person has to say. Make a conscious effort to understand not just the words, but the emotions and experiences behind them. Ask questions, reflect back what you hear, and resist the urge to plan your next statement while the other person is speaking. These simple steps can transform your interactions, making them richer and more productive. Stoicism doesn't just call us to listen, it invites us to embrace silence as a form of wisdom. In silence, we are not absent, we are deeply present. We are giving the floor to the world around us, acknowledging that we are part of a larger dialogue, one in which every voice has value. This kind of listening can lead to profound revelations, not just about those we communicate with, but also about ourselves. Empathy is the quiet superhero of human interactions, the bridge that connects disparate experiences and forges understanding across divides. Yet when it's missing, the gap it leaves can be profound, affecting every interaction we have. Lack of empathy isn't just about not understanding or sharing the feelings of others. It's a deficiency that can deeply impact our relationships, our workplaces, and our broader social environments. Stoicism, a philosophy grounded in virtue and logic, places a high value on developing empathy. The Stoics believe that to live a good life, one must understand the nature of human experiences, not just one's own, but also those of others. They saw empathy as a form of wisdom, a way to reach deeper truths about the human condition. Marcus Aurelius, a model of Stoic virtue, often wrote about seeing things from another's perspective, emphasizing that understanding others helps us react to them with kindness and fairness. When we fail to empathize, we essentially navigate social situations blindfolded. We misinterpret intentions, overlook hurts, and generally mismanage our relationships. It can make us seem cold, detached, or uncaring, creating an emotional distance between ourselves and others. This isn't just about missing out on emotional connections. It can lead to practical consequences, like conflict at work or strain in our personal lives. Let's consider a typical workplace scenario. Imagine a manager who never acknowledges the stress his team members feel during high pressure. Projects this manager operating with a lack of empathy might push his team relentlessly, leading to burnout and resentment. His inability to grasp and respond to the emotional state of his team not only diminishes morale, but can also decrease productivity and loyalty. Here, the Stoic practice of empathy would advise the manager to observe and respond to the needs and feelings of his team members, thereby fostering a supportive and more effective work environment. Empathy also plays a crucial role in leadership beyond just the everyday interactions. It allows leaders to understand the motivations of others, predict reactions, and plan. Accordingly, it's not just about being nice, it's about being effective, and respected leaders who show genuine empathy are often more admired and more likely to inspire loyalty and engagement from their followers. But how do we cultivate empathy if it doesn't come naturally? Stoicism teaches us to practice seeing the world through others' eyes. This can be as simple as asking ourselves, how might this person be feeling right now? Or what might be causing them to act this way? This practice not only helps us understand others better, but also helps us control our reactions, allowing us to respond with patience and kindness instead of frustration or anger. Another Stoic practice involves reflecting on our own experiences and recognizing that, just as we have felt pain, joy, or disappointment, so have others. This reflection helps us connect our feelings with those of others, making it easier to empathize. And when we recognize that others feel as we do, it becomes harder to dismiss or ignore their experiences. It's also important to listen actively, giving our full attention to what others are saying without planning our response or judgment. Listening in this way can be transformative, turning ordinary conversations into moments of real connection and understanding. Navigating the murky waters of fear and failure is something we all face, but it's how we handle these moments that defines our path forward. Fear of failure is a powerful force capable of stopping us in our tracks, urging us to play. It's safe or not to play at all, but let's unpack this a bit, because within this fear lies a paradox while trying to protect ourselves from failure. We might also be barricading the door against potential success and growth. Stoic philosophy offers a compelling perspective on this. The Stoics taught that it's not events themselves that disturb us, but our interpretation of these events' fear of failure. Then isn't about the actual failing, it's about how we view failure. If we see it as a catastrophe, that's exactly what it will feel like. But if we view it as a learning opportunity, it becomes a step towards wisdom. The Stoic approach encourages us to examine our thoughts and fears, critically asking ourselves what we truly fear about failing and whether those fears are justified by reality. Imagine for a moment the last time you hesitated to try something new or challenging. Was it because you were afraid of failing? Now think about what would have happened if you had failed. Would it have been as bad as you feared often? We realize that our fears are exaggerated and that even in failure, the consequences are manageable. More importantly, the act of confronting our fears can be incredibly empowering. Consider the entrepreneur who is afraid to start a new venture, or the writer too scared to submit their manuscript. Their fear of failure might prevent them from ever taking the first step. However, each failure carries valuable lessons that are integral to personal and professional growth. Failing at something does not make one a failure. It makes them experienced, often leading to better judgment and greater resilience. This aligns closely with Stoic resilience, which is not about never falling, but about learning how to rise. Every time we fall, moreover, fear of failure often keeps us from fully engaging with life, from reaching our potential or discovering new passions. It can lead to a life of regrets, not because of the things we did, but because of the things we were too afraid to try. The Stoics believed in living according to nature, which includes embracing the inherent risks and uncertainties of life by confronting our fear of failure. We align more closely with this natural state of courage and action. One practical Stoic exercise to combat the fear of failure is the practice of premeditation of malorum, or the premeditation of evils. This involves visualizing the worst-case scenario in detail and preparing oneself mentally for it. By doing this, we often find that we can handle much more than we think, and that the fear of failure is more daunting than the failure itself. This mental rehearsal not only diminishes anxiety, but also equips us with a plan to manage and mitigate the potential consequences of failing. So what can we do to start overcoming this fear? Begin by setting small, manageable goals that involve some degree of risk. Each small success builds confidence and reduces the fear associated with bigger risks. Additionally, reflect on past failures and extract the lessons they offered. This reflection not only diminishes the sting of those failures, but also enriches your understanding of how to succeed in future endeavors. Sometimes we meet individuals who seem unshakable in their beliefs about their own capabilities. This self-assurance is not just confidence, but something that steps beyond its overconfidence. While it's crucial to believe in oneself, tipping too far into overconfidence can blind us to our own limitations and areas for growth. It's like walking through a familiar neighborhood, so focused on your destination that you miss the warning signs of a sidewalk under repair until you stumble. The Stoics, with their focus on wisdom and virtue, teach us that true confidence is not about never doubting oneself, but about continuously questioning and testing our beliefs and abilities. They believed in a concept called the dichotomy of control, which helps us understand what is and isn't within our power. Overconfidence often misleads us into thinking that more is within our control than truly is setting us up for unexpected failures. When we talk about overconfidence, we're not just referring to an annoying trait in a colleague or friend. It's a significant psychological barrier that can lead to poor decision-making, failed projects, and strained relationships, for example, in the workplace. An overconfident leader might take on too much, ignore valuable advice, or underestimate the complexity of a task, risking the success of a team or an entire project. On a personal level, overconfidence can prevent someone from seeking or accepting help, leading to isolation and even more significant mistakes. The remedy that Stoicism offers isn't to undermine one's self-esteem, but to foster a balance between confidence and humility. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, often wrote about the importance of listening to others and reflecting on one's own faults. He saw overconfidence as a form of hubris that not only alienates others but also separates us from reality to combat overconfidence. He advocated for a practice of self-reflection and constant learning, keeping in mind that no matter how much we know, there is always more to learn to cultivate a healthy level of self-awareness and avoid the pitfalls of overconfidence. Start by embracing feedback. It's easy to feel defensive when someone critiques our work or points out a fault, but every piece of feedback is a gift that offers insights into how we can improve. Another practical step is to regularly set aside time for reflection. Ask yourself what went well today, what didn't, what can I do better tomorrow? This kind of questioning can ground your confidence in real achievements and areas for growth, rather than in an inflated self-image. Moreover, engaging with diverse perspectives is crucial. Overconfidence thrives in echo chambers, where our ideas and decisions are never challenged by actively seeking out opinions that differ from our own. We not only check our overconfidence, but also broaden our understanding and empathy, which are key to effective personal and professional relationships. Finally, adopting a Stoic mindset involves recognizing the impermanence of success and the inevitability of failure. Understanding that we are not infallible, that we will sometimes fail, helps temper overconfidence. Each failure is not a sign to lower our self-esteem, but a reminder that growth is a continuous process. This perspective doesn't just protect us from the downsides of overconfidence. It enriches our journey, making us more resilient and adaptable. Thank you for spending this time with me today and exploring these important aspects of our growth. Remember, each step you take in understanding and adjusting your actions leads you closer to the wisdom and balance that Stoicism teaches. If you found this conversation valuable, check out the suggested video on your screen to continue your journey with us here at the Real Stoic Path. Thank you for being a part of our community, for your curiosity and your commitment to personal growth. Keep striving, keep learning, and until next time, be wise and be well.